Part 2. Underneath her, so to regress, to go back to where the last video cut off at, I found out about a $50,000 book that was illegal to be sold in America. And I had to know more about this book. And the book had a sister on it, a big Indian sister, full headdress, darker than me, clearly a sister. And she was riding on top of 2 Caucasian slaves on their back. She was standing on them, and they were bent over. Underneath her were a whole bunch of Indians that looked like my brothers with headdresses on. And now when I say Indians, I say black folks. I'm talking about Aboriginal indigenous people. So I saw a whole bunch of black people with feathers on, with no clothes on, running around having a good old time in the cover of this book. And the book was called, and there's a lot of other words to it. It was a crazy long title, like 30 words. But the gist of it was an accurate account of America and the times. So it was someone's account of America, you know, back in the 1500s. All right, this was pre-Columbus. This book was pre-Columbus. So I thought, ooh, wow, interesting. Then I found out about another book that was, I want to say $5,000, and it's called The Truth About Black Indians and Africans, something to that effect. So I said, what is up with these expensive books? And what's up with this illegal book, up until I'm not sure when, that could not be sold here? But some Indian bought it and was selling copies of it. So it got out. And that's when it all began. Shortly after all of this, I stumbled on the Google images of Aboriginal indigenous people. And that led me to this report about the senator governor, pardon me with the details, from Virginia, but it won't be hard to find. Please research everything I say so you can relish in the images yourself and just really take it in. It's something. It's something to have your whole history hidden from you right under your nose. It's the strangest thing ever. But the information age has made this possible. It's made this possible. Everything is online. So I began to dive into the images of Aboriginal, Indigenous, and original Americans. You got to go past the Native American pictures. That was the front. That was the programming put on TV. You got to go past that. Talking about the people here before the Native Americans crossed over from Siberia. Before them. The ones that they probably got their style from. So, well, obviously they did. You can look at the images. Anyway, so I began to look at Google images of Aboriginal, Indigenous, so on and so forth. Bam! There we are. There we are, people. Please, I ask you to begin right there. Google images, Aboriginal, Indigenous Americans. Check them out. Check yourself out. Check out your mom and your grandma. And I knew that we were Black Indians. I know what my grandmother looks like. I remember what she looked like. And I just thought, well, the slaves mixed with the Indians, right? That's what everybody thought, right? Everyone walks around saying, or used to joke saying things like, you know, We heard we had Indian in our family. Yeah, we got Indian in our family. Man, we are the Indian. There's no Indian in the family. You are the Indian. Okay? We are the Indian. That was crazy to me. It was amazing. Then I started reading all kind of stuff, and it's all there. It's all there. Europe is getting ready to, or has already decided to stop telling the lie that we came from Africa and decided to put it in the schools. That was 2 years ago. I haven't looked into whether or not that's happened or not, but it was in the papers. It was a big deal. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even talk about the senator from Virginia. So when I was looking at the Aboriginal images, I stumbled across the senator giving an interview, and he quote unquote slipped and referred to us as the Aboriginal Americans. And so the whole conversation interview with him was, how dare you? You know, you apparently you have called the African Americans a Aboriginal American. And the whole conversation was never him denying anything. His response was, why yes. And I'm proud of that, because now it's opened up dialogue that I was never able to speak on, and opened up conversations that I was never able to have. But the first thing he said was, well, I apologize for offending anyone with that statement. But what it has done is it's opened up the doors for me for communication like never before. There's never a denial of it. There was never a denial of it by the people reporting on it. There was never a denial of it it just goes on and on. Once you get down this rabbit hole, you're going to see and hear things all over again. And you're gonna say, oh my God, I didn't catch that. I missed that. It's going to happen over and over and over and over. I can't even express to you how many times someone has said something about it now that I'm conscious of it. For example, I was listening to a radio station, the talk radio. You know how things just fall out of people's mouth? Things are falling out now. And this lady was talking on the talk radio station, some talking head, a really popular talking head. And she said, within a whole bunch of everything, oh yeah, Indians, African Americans, same thing. So blah, 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 blah. Wait a minute, I couldn't rewind it. It was live radio. But she definitely said African Americans, Indians, same thing, same people, synonyms. And she moved on. She said the word synonyms and moved on. And it just kept happening. And then when I went online, it was just an explosion of the truth right there in my face. And it was amazing. It was amazing for me. Absolutely profound. After all of this, I was convinced. Done. And then I kept down the rabbit hole. Then I came to Dane Calloway. That's where you need to go next, please. Because he's put forth the energy and the money and the time to be a real historian on this subject matter. Younger brother, probably in his 30s, maybe late 30s at the most. My generation. And he has the information and the proof and the documents. He has everything. And so once I went ahead and got into his videos, then that's when all the proof was revealed. The evidence. Through Dane Calloway, I found out through his, long research and presentation of the proof, there were no substantial amounts of Africans that came from Africa. In fact, there were more white Africans that came from Africa than black Africans. Whoa. Man, I'm telling you, everything is reversed. And that's exactly what the first video was called that I stumbled on of Dan Calloway. It was called History Was Told to You in Reverse. I thought, oh shit. That's what I just discovered, Dan Calloway. Tell me more. And sure enough, he went everywhere. Library of Congress, to all of these records. And let me tell you how strange it gets. Not only did the slaves, and it's not a secret, it's only a secret to us, people outside of this country, and a lot of white people in this country, they know this. They know that we did not come from Africa. But anyway, you'll find out once you get down the rabbit hole as well. But blew my mind. The next few things I learned. The slaves came from here. Okay? The slaves came from America. The Americas. And we were circulated around here more than anywhere else. This is where the money was. This is where the booming was. The Americas. So all of the documents and all the records that I beg that you go find. They're all there. All the evidence shows that we were traded all around the Americas. And we were taken to Africa, not from. Now, this is not a theory. This is something that I learned through documentation and records. Okay? There are people that put a lot of time into this study. And I beg you to see their body of work. So not only did we come from, we were enslaved here all around the Americas. Okay? And a lot of us were taken to Africa. That's why you could find some of our blood there. I love these people. So that's a whole study right there on how they took a lot of us from here to Africa. Specifically, West Africa. Ran a whole bunch of people, killed a whole bunch of people off of land to put us there. That's a whole nother study. And I will send videos. If you're seeing this video, I will send you all of the historians that have gathered the documents and proof and Congress records, census records. I will send you all of the links for you to see this truth for yourself. Okay? I always wondered why they were always so worried about slaves running away. So what I read was when a brother was reading out of a book by a Dutch explorer, one of the tactics to keeping your slaves was to move them away from their land so they wouldn't move away, so they wouldn't be able to run away. So they were moving people all around the Americas to make it harder for people to run away. That sounds like you're dealing with native people. That sounds like you're dealing with people that are on their own land and know the land. That's why they can run away, because they know how to run away and know where to go. So in order to cut down on that running away, they would move us around islands. That's why there's some of us all. That's the real story. We were enslaved all over Americas and moved around all over the Americas. I found that out because I was going through some Library of Congress records, and you can find ship records. And there was one boat, and it said, one negress girl. I thought to myself, why in the world would someone take a whole boat to pick up one little African girl from Africa and bring her to America for months. One little negress girl. That's what it said. One negress girl. 11 Africans, spelled with a K, A-A-N-S. Those are white folks. Why would you? Okay, well, they're not white. Why would you go all the way to Africa and pick up 11 Africans? 11? That's a waste of money and a waste of time. Not possible. Not likely. But the one negress girl, oh, that threw me off. There are absolutely no records of millions and thousands of Africans getting off any ships coming to America. None. All you find are ships going around the Americas. And then, of course, those epic trips of us to West Africa. There's documents of those excursions. But no boatloads of Africans. And 1621, no one came here to Virginia. Nobody at all. They teach that. And pardon me if I got the date wrong, because there's so much bullshit. I have a hard time remembering the dates because there's such bullshit. So whatever the date they told us in school, and you would get a bad grade if you didn't put 1621 Virginia. That's not true. That's not where the first Africans came in at. And when you look at it, nobody came in for a long time. No one came in that whole year. And when someone did come in, it was like 11 Africans to Boston, which makes sense if you know history a little bit. Makes a lot more sense that they came to Boston than Virginia. But anyway, the bottom line is the history was told to us in reverse. So please question everything. Once I discovered Dan Calloway, he put all the pieces together. He has a video on there that blew my mind. It showed the Underground Railroad as a train system. And in this picture, guess who was at the head of the train with the light on his head, guiding some white boys? About an 11, 12-year-old Indian boy. And I say that to say 11-year-old or 12-year-old black boy. 11, 12-year-old. This is an actual photo that you can see if you go to Dan Calloway YouTube videos and click on 4 fabricated stories told to us in history. And it will show you that picture and take you down that rabbit hole of how the Underground Railroad was just that. It was an underground train system, and it was here before they got here. The train tracks were here. They were here for thousands of years. Train tracks. And it tripped me out because in the picture, there's a little black boy. Not bigger than my son, but I could tell that he was like 11 or 12, just small. And he had a light on his head to go down in the tunnels. And behind him were respectfully posing white boys being led down underground through the train system, the railroad system. And there's also a quote of Harriet Tubman saying, I was the best conductor ever. Never had a collision. Interesting. Oh, people, go on down the rabbit hole. It's the best one you'll ever go down. And it's the only one that pertains to you. So, my theories were pieced together about Harriet Tubman when I saw that video from Dan Calloway about 2 years later. down the rabbit hole for 2 years and finally discovered Dan Calloway. I don't know how it took so long. I didn't expect there to be a Aboriginal indigenous community emerging online and around the world. I didn't know about it. So I didn't expect to get any information. Oh, there's a whole study. They can open a college right now on the information that has been brought to light the past 2 to 5 years. 1 to 5 years. This is new emerging information. And it just really blew my mind. So I learned about the Underground Railroad, and they talked about the train system, how you'll notice the third rail. That's very interesting because, never mind, I'm not going to elaborate on that. Anyone who knows about Tupac, may know about the third rail. But I don't know if he even knew. Anyway, apparently that was the original train system here in America. And there's 2 new ones. So there's one that no one ever uses. There's one track that no one ever uses on all the train systems. You can see it. That's it right there. That's the Underground Railroad tracks. Go get that truth from Dan Calloway, 4 fabricated history lessons told to us. And he has 3 other fabricated stories that you need to hear in that video. His videos are short too, not long. You'll want them to be longer. So I learned all those things, and it just really blew my mind. There's a lot of things that I'm forgetting. But you know, as you get into the information, you'll see things like, you'll see all kind of headlines and things about black folks being arrested and killed for appearing Indian. Why would an African have that problem? Why would an African have the problem of coming to America and looking like an Indian and getting killed for it because he won't stop looking like an Indian? You know how we do. We've been doing it for a long time. Very extravagant. Very full of adornments, feathers, jewelry, stones, earrings. That's how we do. And they were having a hard time getting brothers to put them feathers down. Oh, I believe it. People's grandfathers and grandmothers were killed for appearing Indian. Why would Africans have that problem? They would not have that problem. They would not have that problem. Okay? They wouldn't have that problem. Ever. Because they don't identify as Indian. And it just goes on and on from there, family. I found out that the Aboriginal black is the mother and father of every single continent. Asia. Everywhere. Saw the first Asians. Black. First Americans. Black. First Europeans. Black. Everyone. It's Pangea. We spread everywhere. And don't believe that lie that we all came from Africa. They have some agenda with that. Obviously. There's always some agenda. If they give the information and they're swearing on it and putting it in books and making it so, you better check it out. Okay? When you dive into this, it'll be self-evident who you're looking at. When you look at the images, it will be self-evident who you're looking at. People have videos where they put together modern African Americans, quote unquote African Americans, with the old Indians. There are some twins, people that look identical. You can tell exactly who's from what tribe once you learn what the real tribes were. You could tell James Brown's a Seminole. Of course James Brown is a Cherokee Seminole. Look at him. And so on and so forth. There are people that put a lot of energy into presenting the information. Please take a lot of time to go and see these images and find these videos and just relish in the truth. I always wondered why not a single bean dish made it. No, I mean, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say beans. Anything. Why didn't a single African dish make it over here? God damn it, they weren't that successful. You ain't that successful that you take out a whole people's menu. It don't work that way. There's going to be a mama that remembers. There's going to be something. There's going to be a dish. There's going to be a African something. We don't make an African nothing, people. Have you ever thought about that? We don't make an African nothing. Have you ever thought about how different we really are? Have you ever thought about how we are a different phenotype? Meaning we obviously came from a different father or a different family. Just look at the Africans and look at us. We don't look like we're from the same family. There's an account by some explorer pre-Columbus, and he talked about how the Indians ate. The black Indians, by the way. And he said they love to get wild greens and boil them up. They love peanuts and corn to no end. They love nuts. When he said greens, when he said a pot of greens, something about when I was reading that, it was like reading a testament, because it went on and on and on. But I found us in that write-up. I found a piece of myself there, and I thought to myself, see, I knew something would come through. If we were Africans, an African dish would have came through. It would have made it through, like collard greens made it through, right? The collard greens made it through. And you want to see somebody eat some nuts. Oh, watch my dad eat some peanuts. It was just so reflective of us. And then I echoed on something my sister said, and she said, I remember when in Spring Valley, before they cut down all the vegetation, I used to see women going out and grabbing the greens out the field and cooking them. Collard greens made it through, and everything else we did made it through. It made it through. Found out that this was called Turtle Island. We were Turtle Island Indians. And you can see us. You can see our imagery. You can see us everywhere. It's the information age. You can see us with our afros and our adornments and our style. You can see our style. When I kept on going down the rabbit hole, found out that after seeing a whole bunch of old cave drawings and old cave paintings with black women on the wall with afros and stomach beads, doing some sort of movement that looked just like us, that you'd only see us doing, like she was dancing, or someone drew a picture of a dancing sister in a cave, afro and everything. The craziest cave drawings I've ever seen. You can see those. You'll find those. From that information, I found out that this is the old world. This is not the new world. I found out that there's pyramids here in the Grand Canyon, older than the pyramids in Egypt. People, we have been lied to. We've been lied to. Everything is reversed. I wonder why white folks were so intrigued by the Egyptian eyes and the Egyptian sphinx and the this and the that and the Egyptian mummies and Egyptian tombs. Honey, that's not Europeans doing that. That's Americans doing that. Hey, no, no. It's Americans doing that. Found out all that stuff was found here. And it predates Egypt. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole that I haven't even got too much time for lately. But I found out that, yes, there are Egyptian tombs, mummies, here in America, in the Grand Canyon. Off limits to the public. Off limits to the public. And there's all kinds of things that they've taken out of these caves. So all these worshipping, all these goddess and all these people they show you from Egypt, all that stuff was here as well. Or maybe it was all here and they took it there. Who knows? All I know is that it was here and it predates anything they found in Africa. There's a lot of evidence that shows that America is the old world. Yeah. And it's something. It's something. To be down this rabbit hole is absolutely something. It's amazing. It makes me want to rock a full headdress every day to go to the grocery store. Damn near do. I damn near do. I know I've been showing up and showing out ever since I found out. And I just really wanted to share this information, and I wanted to share the historians that have put all the work and energy and time and money and travel into obtaining documents and the proof and records. I want to put you onto them. I want you to watch their videos so you can see yourself finally and know who you are finally. And so you can start tapping into your elders and getting some information before it's too late. A lot of amazing things came out, and I'm going to stop because this video will be so long. But I will end it in saying, I'm not saying any names. I'm not saying any names because I'm private. But those that know me know us, and we are this. It's our family. So this information is your information. And if it's not, I know you're an Indian. I've seen your grandma or grandpa, and I know that they were not allowed to speak about who they were, and they did not. Some did, some got brave, and some did, but some did not. Most did not say anything. But once you dive into it, you'll find a lot of people did say a lot. They put a lot of it in movies, like they programmed us into movies thinking a Native American looked like some Asian. And that's where it started from? No. And how they never showed the black Indian ever in any movie, ever to this day? That is programming. Well, there were also people that wanted to probably tell the information, so they would put it in movies and drop it in little things. So you'll start to see things. People have put together clips of when the information has been dropped on us, but we didn't know it was being said. In a few black movies, it was stated. Oh, speaking of black movies, that Roots was bullshit. Roots, where we thought we all came from Africa, they used that. That was a damn lie. The Alex Haley, he was sued for a little over $1 million in the 80s for taking a story and making it his, and the story was fictional. Go look it up. Roots was not true. They sold that story as that man's story. Such a lie. And it was a white man's story from Africa originally. Yeah, go look that up. It just gets worse and worse. Oh, since we're randomly just talking about how they just did us in, Shakespeare, that was a young, poor, homeless, well, I don't know if she was homeless, but that was a young, poor, black European girl, All of it. All of that poetry. See? See what they do, people? You have to understand. It's a dirty game. My sister once said, and I always said to myself, why is there so many brothers locked up? Damn, they serious about locking up niggas, boy. They don't play around with locking up niggas. And you gotta know what I'm saying when I say niggas. I'm talking about Americans. They don't lock up Africans like that. Think about it. You'd be hard pressed to find an African up in jail. It's us. It's the Indian. It's the black Indian. It's the one they've been warring with up until the 1900s, people. We just stopped fighting for this land. We just stopped. We just stopped. And the ones that won the status, these Asian Native Americans, the civilized tribes, are the ones that sold out. Those are the ones that let them come into the tribe and rape all the women and breed out the color and bring them all to that white color. That's why when you go register and hopefully get your paperwork that says you're an Indian, you're going to be met by a blonde-haired white boy that's going to say, oh, welcome home. It's going to be the weirdest shit ever. You're going to register with a white boy or a white woman or a white man that bought their status 400, 300, 200 years ago for $5. They're called $5 Indians. Go get that truth. That one's on Dan Calloway also. $5 Indians. They came here, paid $5 to get Indian heritage on their paperwork, and then took the land. That was for the Indians. That was for us. The POWs, the prisoners of war. That's who we were. We were more POWs than slaves, by the way. We were more indentured servants than slaves, by the way. We were more POWs than slaves, by the way. Go get that truth, people. So I'm going to fast forward to how going down the rabbit hole got personal. I set forth with our name. It's not hard to find, people. It's only hard when you do it on accident. Then you forget the steps. I did that a couple times. But once you get serious and official, you'll go on to ancestry.com and get that together. Oh, by the way, don't do any DNA tests. That's bullshit. That's a lie. That's all a scam. That's all a part of the setup. Don't send your DNA anywhere, people. Melanites. Don't send your DNA anywhere. You know they buying melanin by the pound, if they could. No, but they're buying it by the gram. Seriously. Anyway, so it's not DNA. That's the setup. But Ancestry.com has those census records and all these records. Now, so I took our family. I took the name I need to take. I would go through your mother, because you're sure who your mother is, and then do your father after. But I went back. Make a long story short, I was able to find everyone. I was able to find that my grandfather went to war, find all of his cards and everything, all the war cards and all that stuff. Then I was able to find the same people, minus my grandfather, in the Carlisle School for Indians. You hear that, people? Carlisle School for Indians. You want to go look at the Indian roster, the Indian rolls. They're called Indian rolls. ROLLS. The Indian rolls on Ancestry.com. I was able to get the information for free. But if I pay for it, it would be easier and better for me. And I probably have a lot more information. But yes, I was able to find the same grandmother and her immediate family at that time, in the Indian school, the Carlisle Indian School, under Chippewa, listed Chippewa, not African, Chippewa. So that was interesting, very interesting. And in the Indian school is when they, washed you of all your Indian ways and got you good and trained into that Bible. That's what the Indian school was. So on the Indian rolls, you'll probably find your people, but you got to find the names and get back as far as you can on those names. And amazing. That's all I can say is amazing. And just because I don't want the video to be 2 hours long or 1 hour long, I'm going to stop there. But that was my journey in a gist. And my people, once you see yourself in these images, it's going to be a no-brainer. It's going to be a no-brainer. I always wonder why, wherever you see us at, brothers, boy, we act like we own the place. We act like we own the place. Everywhere we're at, we'll go to somebody else's house and it don't matter. It's because we've been here. We've been here. We have been here. It's our land. And that's why the attack is so brutal against us. They weren't attacking little old Africans all these years. Come on now. Come on, people. That sounds like an attack on people that are from their land. And they having a hard time settling down into accepting that they ain't shit and shut up and sit down. Be quiet. Don't dress up. Don't talk. Don't dance. Yeah, the attack has been brutal for a reason. It wasn't just because we were slaves and got free and they were mad. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. If that was the issue, if we were all free, they'd be leaving us alone. They wouldn't be trying to lock us up the way they're locking us up. Not the way they're doing it. People wouldn't be doing that to this day with such vigor. Not to this day. Come on, we're free now. Not to this day. That's an attack on the Aboriginal man. Found out the Aboriginal, look up the Aboriginal Mexicans. Look up the Aztecs. They're goofy looking black people. But that's like Pharrell's people. That famous dude Pharrell, that's his lineage. That's where they come from. And so on and so forth. So, this has been my Aboriginal Indigenous truth. My how the rabbit hole experience became personal story. And I would love to hear yours in the comment section. And if not, I would love to know that you are sharing the information that you find now going forth and that you dive into Dane Calloway and Kurumu, Kurimeo, Kurimeo. That brother is awesome. He's actually an Asian Indian American, and he's given the truth about the first Indians, the black Indians. And he has professor level presentation of information and proof. You'll be blown away by Kurimeo. Sorry, I just butchered that. Kurimeo, and of course the #1 historian, the one that's leading the way, Dane Calloway. Dan Calloway revealed what Martin Luther King was trying to say. Martin Luther King said, this was our land, and we're going to get our money. We're going to get our check. He was dead right after that. Go see the video, what Martin Luther King was trying to tell us, but we did not listen. That's under Dan Calloway as well. Well, people, it's been real. Thank you for listening. And you are a Black Indian. You are an indigenous Indian. You are an Aboriginal Indian. You are an indigo. You are a Turtle Island descendant. You're from the Americas. This is your land. All of it. So be proud. Be very proud. And go get the research. Don't take my word for it. Peace and blessings to everyone. Bless the gods.